I did, yeah.
Yeah? Anybody willing to share some amazing success stories? Not that good, huh? All right. We got a few more people joining. Give us a minute or two. So for those of you that are on the call, what did you guys take away from last week's call? I know, Olivia, did you get the replay? Because I know you weren't on the call.
I did get the replay, yes.
Did you get a chance to listen to it?
No, not yet.
Okay. So for those of you that were on the call last week, anybody have any feedback from for how it impacted your last week of work, if at all? All right, tough crowd this morning. Gosh, good morning. Does everybody want to do the call today?
Yes.
You guys, I'm hearing crickets. I'm feeling like I'm boring you.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. It's Lonnie. Sorry, I was talking. I didn't think you could hear me.
No problem. Again, anybody have any feedback from last week's call? Was it a good call? Was there something that you didn't understand? Is there something that you guys want me to cover again, or did it have any kind of impact in your work week? Obviously, for me, my number one goal is that I'm providing you guys with valuable information that you guys can apply to your businesses. And if I'm not providing that, then, obviously I take that personally, because my number one goal is, obviously getting Richard to see the value in what I'm doing for his team. Any feedback would helps me understand I'm on the right path. If not, then, I'll go ahead and just jump right into what I'm thinking about talking about today. Does anybody have any thoughts about last week?
Yes. Can you hear me? I was on the call just a minute ago, but I said hello and then I couldn't hear anyone, so I had to log back in. Sorry about that.
Got it. No worries.
Yeah, we talked a little bit afterwards, Doug, and it was very helpful to me in terms of, just getting my confidence up to call realtors, and it just helped a tremendous amount. I actually got, made my calls and got 6 appointments for next week. So I was like, wow.
Go Jamie.
Right, congratulations. That's the best success story that I've heard this week. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
I want to reiterate something to you guys. These calls are not about you guys being fantastic or developing your skills as a loan officer. And if I haven't made that clear to you guys, a loan officer to me is anybody that creates the paperwork and sees the paperwork through the process until the very end. That's what a loan officer does throughout their day. To me, that was or is still the worst part of being in this industry for me. I couldn't stand being a loan officer. What I loved, which I'm willing to bet each of you guys would agree with me on, is you guys love being an originator. You guys love the idea of meeting new people, connecting with people, providing value, and getting them to see your value. Is that a pretty fair statement for you guys? We all love being the originator but hate being the loan officer?
Yeah.
Does anybody love the minutia of the paperwork and the conditions and the chasing of documents and following up with phone calls? Does anybody love that? Is that their passion? Okay.
No.
All right. It's okay to respond. Nobody's holding anybody accountable. I'm just trying to deliver a message of what we are really hoping, what I'm hoping, or what I'm working towards with each of you guys is what Jamie said exactly. It's developing that level of confidence that when you speak with conviction and confidence so that your audience, whether it's your clients or your realtors, see you as being somebody different. I've made it abundantly clear that the only difference between you and me is simply the words that come out of my mouth and the words that come out of your mouth. And if you and I were competing against a client, I believe in my heart that I would have a better job of creating that connection and that relationship with them in the way that I communicate my value than most people would That's why my business grew and continued to thrive for 20 years, simply built on referrals. And I believe that the only thing that our industry has never really taught us is the reality of when we speak, what is it that we say that makes us unique? There's no training module, there's no training mechanism that teaches you to do this. So my hope through the calls that we have is that the message of what you say isn't so much what I say that matters, it's how you interpret it and then how you use it in your business to develop that level of confidence. When you guys speak to your clients, when you guys speak to your realtors, you have to believe that they don't know what they don't know. They have no idea that you look at business differently than they do. You have no idea what they've gone through throughout their life to get to this point as it relates to the mortgage experiences. I always believed that my realtors needed me more than I needed them. And it comes across in the words that we say. So what we talked about last week was, again, just developing that level of confidence. So today I want to focus a little bit more on what we say to our clients. Many of us jump into our loan applications right from the start. There might be some idle chit-chat. Hi, my name is Doug. How are you? Nice weather. Did you find the place okay? But we really don't spend any time being that consultant. We talked last week about the value of being a consultant to our clients. Does everybody remember that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Can somebody please tell me what they do in the first 15 minutes of an application that defines what a consultant is for their clients? Does anybody provide their clients with a very clear and concise identity of what a consultant really is to their clients? Is it a pretty fair statement that probably none of you guys do? There is a strategy that I implemented into my business that worked really, really well for many years. And it really boils into the first 15 minutes. You know, we've heard that phrase that making a first impression, you can't do it twice. What is it? The phrase is something about a first impression. You only can do that once. So every time a client met with me, I broke my presentation, which what I called was the originator presentation or the doctor presentation. I spent the first 15 minutes laying the framework or the foundation for what my business was all about. I believed that my client relationship in that first 15 minutes defined the success of what my transaction was going to look like for the next 45 to 60 days. We talked last week about the question of how do you define a successful transaction? Does everybody remember that conversation?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So how you define a successful transaction in my world was getting a current client referral. Well, the first 15 minutes of meeting a client is the only time in which you have the chance to create a first impression to set the stage for the agreement and for the understanding of what a consultant really means to the client. I don't believe that we accidentally stumble into it, and I don't hope that my client sees it. What my role and responsibility is to take a hold of the relationship and to orchestrate it to be what I want it to be. We don't spend, as a whole, we don't spend any time molding our client's relationship based on what we want. We simply react to the way that our clients treat us. Does everybody agree with that? Is that a fair statement?
True.
Most loan officers react to their clients and believe that their job is to answer the questions that are provided and to solve the problem as it's stated and take the client through the process. The problem with that is that many of our clients' questions and concerns are not really the real issues that we're facing. That's why the client process, going through it from womb to tomb, can be so challenging and difficult at times. So I take the role of being a consultant exceedingly to heart. And so when I break down this opening dialogue with you guys, I'm recording this call again so you guys can go back and listen to it if you choose to, but it's broken down into a 15-minute conversation that I believe, and the results of my business have proved it, that provides your client with a very clear and concise definition of what they are going to agree to, what I'm going to agree to, and what the commitments are. Does anybody have any type of presentation that they provide that with their clients before they talk about one pay stub, one W-2, or one tax return?
No.
So nobody.
No.
Okay.
No.
Does everybody on the call prefer to work with a referral, or do they prefer to work with a lead? And let's be clear about what the definition of the two is. A referral is somebody that calls you because they want your help, because they believe they trust you, they believe they can rely on you, and they believe that whoever put them in touch with you is a good enough person that they should trust, that relationship. Or do we prefer to work with leads when somebody says, hey, call so-and-so, I've gotten their phone number, they were a floor call, or they mentioned a mortgage and I wanted you to get their name and number so you could call them. Which of those two scenarios would we prefer to work with?
Referral, 100%.
Does anybody prefer to work with a lead?
No.
No. Okay,
No.
So that's fair. So we're all going to start from the same premise. So does it make sense that if you're sitting down with a referral or you're starting a dialogue with a referral, that you probably can take that relationship and amplify it pretty easily because you're already working with somebody that knows you, likes you, and trusts you? Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a fair statement to also make that how you got that referral probably came to you by accident? Meaning you probably didn't create an environment that you controlled to get that referral. You simply entered into a transaction, did a really good job, and hoped that they would refer you. Does anybody have a dialogue system that creates a referable situation 100% of the time?
No.
Okay. So is this something that you guys want to talk about? Is this something that intrigues you, or are you guys okay with the way your businesses are currently being being generated?
I definitely want to talk about it.
Okay. You guys are kind of like low key today. Like you guys went out partying last night, and you guys are all like hungover or something.
I wish.
Yeah, right. We've all got. I'm sure most of us have not all of us have kids, so I'm kids at home. So it was 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m. Not feeling well, cleaning up, throw up and all that fun stuff. So I get it. So, but it's Friday, right? So let's end the week on a great note. So I'm super excited about what I'm about to tell you because I think, not think, I know it's a powerless word. In my heart, I know that it works, and I hope and I believe that if you guys apply it to your client conversations, it's only going to further the level of confidence that then allows you to go back to your realtors and really showcase why they referred you. So the first thing that I do with every consultation is we need to build rapport with people. We always greet people with a handshake, welcome to the office, and we find something to talk about that makes that connection. Whether it be sports, family, kids, car, whatever the case may be. That's fine, but you miss out on a tremendous opportunity to really build a deep level of rapport. Every time a client and I met, I always shook hands, said hello, brought him into the office and sat him down. And the first question, and it was always fun because this was the best part of the presentation, I always asked them, I said, so you guys were referred to me by Richard Smith. I love Richard. I think he's probably one of the nicest guys on the planet, and as a leader goes, there's probably nobody better. That's probably why you guys work with him. But I got a question for you. What was it about me that Richard said to you that made you feel compelled to want to call me? And here's the amazing part. When you sit back and somebody tells you to your face why they like you before even meeting you, it opens up their vulnerability beyond recognition. They're sitting there telling you all the positive things that Richard said, and what they're telling you is exactly what their quote-unquote love language is. So not only do you get them feeling good about meeting with you for the first time, they're complimenting you on things that you've never done for them, but you did for Richard in this case. And what they're telling you is exactly what they need from you in order to be happy. Does anybody see how that works?
Yes.
Does anybody see the picture I just created?
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody ever asked a client when they're sitting in front of them, what was it about the person who referred you to me? What was it that they said that made you feel confident in calling me? Has anybody ever asked that question of their clients?
No, but that's genius.
It's amazing when you get people to say positive things about you, and when you listen, you can see them smile. You can see them start developing trust and confidence in you, and you haven't done anything yet. But here's the beauty of what happens with that, is the next conversation that naturally flows out of it is, you know what, I'm glad you said that about Richard. And you know what, that's my number one goal. He says that I care about my clients at the highest level. And obviously, you know that because he referred you to me. And I just want you guys to be just kind of be clear about something. My business is really predicated on relationships like Richard referring me to the people they care about. And I take it very, very seriously. See, I want to work with people just like you. I just don't need more clients. And what that does is it puts me in a very, very unique position, because as we go through this conversation, guys, I'm going to be asking you deep and very meaningful questions, and I'm going to be challenging you on what you think the reality of this process really is, because my number one goal is to get you to that place where you want to be. So my job is to take what you have as perfect in your brain, extract that from you, and then map out a process that gets you to where you want to be, or alter it so that you know what the truth is. And as we go through this process and I ask you these questions, I want you to be okay with not being happy with what I provide. See, I'm very concerned about really two things. One, that you're happy with what we talk about today, so you go back to Richard and say thank you, but also making sure that I'm providing you with enough information that you can make an educated decision. But if we get to the end of this conversation, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I want you to know that it's okay that you say that I'm not the right fit for you. And I want you to be okay with me saying to you at the end of the conversation that I don't think you're a right fit for my practice. Because I can't take clients on in my practice that aren't going to be somebody that turns into a raving fan. See, it doesn't behoove me to take you through this process and not have you go back to Richard and thank you, but also become another Richard Smith and have you go out there advocating me to the people you care about. And so when we talk about what your goals, wants, and needs are, if I can't deliver what you want, I'm going to tell you that up front, and then I'm going to give you some advice and direction, and you can maybe go down that path and see if that suits you better. But if we agree to work together, I want you to know that it's predicated on you guys agreeing to refer me to the people you care about, and also going back to Richard and referring and saying thank you to him. Is that fair? Does that make sense, what I just said?
Yes, absolutely.
It's called the permission to reject. See, our clients are sitting in front of us, and in their mind, they're asking themselves, why should I work with you? Or when are you going to sell me on using you? When you put the permission to reject out on the table before they do, what happens? A, your level of consultiveness increases because you're pulling questions out of their head that they are either afraid to ask or don't want to ask, but yet it's a question that everybody thinks about. You're also helping define for them that you want to work with them, but you don't need them, which takes their level of anxiety, if there is any, and it virtually eliminates it altogether. Because now you've given them an out, and you've given them an okay, that it's all right to say no. But it's also put you on a pedestal to say, I've also got the right to say no to you. That makes the conversation and the relationship balanced. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
And it's a much better position to be in.
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea when you actually tell your clients that you want them but don't need them. What you're going to start doing from that point on is now I'm shifting the conversation from, you know, what people have said about me and that what the standards are about the presentation or what we're going to go through, but I'm going to now drive home the point of why you want to work with me. See, I've told you that I don't need your business, I want it. And the reason why I'm so particular is because I've developed what I believe is called a referable practice. See, I believe in this concept, Mr. and Mrs. Client, of the triangle of trust. See, I have to be able to deliver exactly what you want. I have to figure out exactly what you need and what your idea of perfect is and set a proper expectation up in the beginning, because if I'm successful at doing that, I now have created an opportunity to expand my brand. I've created another raving fan. And the beauty of that is, you know how when you're done with this meeting, I believe you're going to go back to Richard and say thank you, and you're going to be really happy to do that. See, when you call Richard and say thank you, he's going to feel really good about helping you out. And you're going to feel really good because you took the advice of somebody you respect and you've strengthened that relationship. Ultimately, I want you to be in the role of Richard. I want you to be part of that triangle of trust. I want you to become that raving fan of mine. Because when you refer me and you get a call from somebody that says thank you, it feels good. It feels really good to know you helped out somebody else. And even more importantly, you've provided somebody a chance to make their life a little less stressful because you believe in what I believe, and you know that I'm going to take great care of them because I care more about your relationship with them than I care about getting a mortgage. That's why I have to be very selective on the people I take onto my, into my practice. I'm not the right loan officer or the originator for everybody, but I believe that I'm the right originator for every person to talk to figure out what their goals, wants, and needs are, and to find out what truly is the best option for them, even if I'm not the right person, because I still believe that you will go back to Richard and say thank you. Is that fair?
Yes.
So here's the ugliness about our business. You're going to hate me. It's just a fact. We're going to go through this home buying process, and I'm telling you what, right now, it's like forensic underwriting. It's like black lights and tweezers going through your financial life. It's ugly. It's not fun. Nobody enjoys it. But I promise you, as we go through the process, there will be a point in time where you will pick up the phone and I'll be on the other line, or somebody on my team will be, and you're going to hate us. You're going to be so frustrated at providing documents over and over and over again that it's not going to make any sense to you. Well, here's an example of a list, and I literally would slide this document in front of them. I've compiled a list of 85 things that could go wrong through the process, from the title company to the appraiser to the home inspector to the pest inspector to the listing agent to the selling agent to myself and several other entities that touch your loan through the process. See, there's like 350 pieces of paper from womb to tomb that you will look at through this process, and probably close to 120 signatures. And if you think about the number of people that touch your file, it's very, very difficult for this process to go perfectly. So I'm fully aware that at some point I'm going to pick up the phone and call you, or someone on my team was, and you were literally going to be angry at us. And we totally expect it. But we know that going into it, because our job, again, is to get you to refer us to the people you care about. So it doesn't make any sense for us to misrepresent this process. And the beauty of what we do here is that if we can tell you all the bad things up front and you still want to work with us, then we stand the best possible chance at having a great relationship and a very stress-free process through the time of closing. So at some point, I may ask you to pull this document out, but it's for you to keep. I may ask you to pull it out, and we'll review it at some point if there's something that comes up on this list. Is that okay? So here's the mindset behind why this part of the process is so meaningful. If you tell them nothing about the process, they don't know what they don't know, okay? That's first. But if you don't tell them the possible pitfalls of the process, Are you really being a consultant? No, you're not. You're simply just being a tool. You're not providing them any guidance. And if you truly believe that you are a partner to this client and you truly believe that you provide value beyond just rates, fees, and costs, this is the first or second step in defining that for them. Clients don't know the possible pitfalls. They just know the people that are involved that could cause the problems. But they really don't even think of that. I liken it to when I fly on an airplane, I don't ever want to see the cockpit. I would be scared to death of all the lights and the monitors and the buttons and the sound. I don't know what's going on. All I want to know is that the pilot has done this a couple hundred times. I want to know that he's not hungover. I want to know that he's a professional. And I know that because if he's flying on Delta, American Airlines, or wherever, there's a pretty good chance that he's being screened, that he knows what he's doing. But what I care more about is that the flight attendant is taking care of me, that the service is professional and friendly, and that the flight is going to get to my destination and my luggage is going to be there. I totally expect that there's going to be turbulence. I totally expect that we might hit a patch of rough air. And you know how calming it is to hear a pilot get on the screen or on the intercom and say, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to take flight. There's a patch of rough air that we're going to hit, between this and this and this. I just want to let you know that we'll do our best to avoid it, and we should still get to our destination on time. I love hearing that level of confidence and reassurance from the pilot. That makes me believe that they care about me. Too often we sit in front of our clients and we look at them square in the eye and go, no problem, shouldn't be a big deal. No sweat. We'll get this through and we'll get you closed right on time. How many times have you missed a closing date? I'm willing to bet you 9 out of 10 times we take an application, that loan does not go perfectly. But here's the cool part about setting the expectation like that about you're going to hate me. If you were able to successfully navigate the process and there is little to no drama, do you have a much better chance of being considered a professional and your reputation is amplified by telling them that they're going to hate you at some point?
Oh, yeah.
So if you tell somebody the horrible truth and it doesn't come and it doesn't happen, what do you think is going to be the response at closing from your client?
They're going to be ecstatic.
They're going to be ecstatic.
This was going to be awful, and this was so smooth.
So what you did was by going into the "you're going to hate me" presentation, you're lowering the bar of expectation. I would much rather step over the bar of expectation than have to climb a ladder and fall over it. This whole conversation about, setting expectations is about managing expectations and lowering their bar of expectations of you. I don't hide behind the fears. I don't hide behind the anxieties. I would rather have this happen up front because, again, I've told them, if you and I don't agree, you can say, no, thank you, this isn't the right process for me. So I'm off the hook. So I've told them right out of the gates that I will say no to you and you can say no to me. So at this point, I've got nothing to hide. We're all sitting here even Steven. And so if I can tell you the truth and you don't like it, then I don't really want to take you through the loan process because you're not going to be an advocate of my business at the end. However, we had said last week, I don't want to be compared to every other loan officer that they're going to interview. And trust me, they're shopping you, whether it's rates or fees. They're shopping you, and if by chance they talk to another loan officer, no other loan officer is going to say this to them. No other loan officer is going to position themselves like this. So instead of you being compared to everybody else, they're comparing everybody else to you at this point. You're being the professional. You're demonstrating your value. You're showing and educating them on things that they don't know. So after that document is discussed, and they always laughed. I mean, it truly, I mean, most of my clients always laugh, and they're like, really, we're going to hate you? I'm like, yeah, trust me. You guys are going to sit here and tell me no, but I'm going to look at you, and I know one of you two is going to be upset at me before we're done with this. I just don't know which one. Who wants to be the one that gets mad at me? So who should I talk to more? And it was fun because it was another chance to bring the humanity back to the relationship, because this process gets very, very ugly at times and very, very financial at times and very, very invasive at times. And so this conversation was always like my ace in the hole, because I could always circle back around this and pick up the phone and be like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, remember that time I told you that you were going to hate me? Yeah, I think this might be the time. And then they would be like, oh, all right, what's going on? Because now we can go back to that conversation, and it creates that connection that I know we are going to need at some point. Because again, all I care about is making sure that that client sees my value and then becomes compelled to want to refer me to the people they care about. So this is, again, part of the process. And then the last one that I always went into was, so if you guys agree that this is something that you guys are comfortable with and you guys are happy with the way that we do our business, I would love a chance to work with you. So as we go through this conversation and we figure out what your goals, wants, and needs are, I just want you to be clear that if we decide to work together and if we decide to move forward with this, I need 2 commitments from you, because I'm going to commit to delivering everything that you're going to need from me, because that's why I'm still here. It's because I do deliver on my on people's expectations of me. That's why Richard referred you. But I'm going to need 2 unrefutable commitments from both of you guys. The first one is that when we're done with this meeting, regardless if you choose to use me or not, you're going to go back to Richard and say thank you. That's the bare minimum. However, if we decide to work together, I'm very, again, particular about the people that I bring into my practice, because I need them to refer me to the people they care about. So if we go through the process and you guys are happy with the service that we provide you, I need your commitment that you will refer me to somebody in your life that you care about before we're done with this transaction. Of course, I've got to earn it. I've got to do my job and deliver it at a level. Is that something you're okay with? Without question, every single time, they agreed. They agreed. And I'm like, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Now I can put on the hat of being that loan officer and start gathering the documents and all that fun stuff. That's where I took my hat off and said, I will turn you over to my team. Best of luck. Now, here's the cool part about this entire presentation. It laid the framework that throughout the entire process, whether it was a pre-qual, pre-approval, or actually under contract, my team now had the ability of seeking those thank yous and wows and appreciative statements, and they were conditioned to respond with, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, thanks for noticing. I know Doug told you that our business is 100% referred, and we count on people like you referring people they care about. Please, we're counting on you to not keeping us a secret. That would happen 4 or 5 times through the process at multiple stages of the transaction. Does anybody think that that 15-minute window of conversation is a waste of time? Am I on mute? Did nobody hear me?
No, I think
No.
we need to set up the expectations. You know, everything you do, you should set up expectations. So why are we not doing it in our business as well?
Well, it's not even about setting expectations. That's part of it. But why are we not laying the framework to amplify our relationships? Why are we not capitalizing on the opportunity that somebody has given us? When a client comes to our doorstep and they say, Richard referred me to you, why are we not capable of orchestrating another referable client? We accidentally do it. We believe that, our clients will see it, but that operates only 20% of our potential. 20% of our clients will refer us unconditionally because that's who they are. But there are 60% of our clients that we meet and talk to every day that won't help us because we don't ask. They don't know we need their help. This 5 bullet point process essentially brought home and full circle what my expectations are of my clients. I did not take my relationships for granted. I did not assume that they knew that I needed their help. And if I set the stage in the very beginning, it wasn't an uncomfortable conversation through the process. See, the beauty of this entire dialogue is that it sets a proper tone for what we expect from our clients and what our clients expect from us, while at the same time painting a picture that we are not like every other loan officer that's out there. I assure you that you can interview 100 loan officers and not a single one of them is going to have this presentation. And I'm willing to bet you that if you were going to go up against another bank, another credit union, or an internet shop, and this was your presentation, who thinks that a client would resonate differently with this versus what people normally say?
Hands down, you would have the advantage over anyone.
So why? Why are we not? Why are we? I know why we're not, because nobody's ever really sat down and mapped it out. Nobody's ever really sat down and taught us how to say it. Nobody's ever really sat down and said, here's what I think would be a better option. We're always left to go grab a, go lean on people, get a lead, and then work really hard and get that lead to close. Well, my definition of a successful transaction was never just closings. My definition was getting a referral. And that's what I put in my brain every time I met with a client. And what was the best possible chance of getting a referral? It's setting proper expectations. It's setting the stage. It's providing your clients with a chance to say, you're not right for me, while at the same time telling your clients that they may not be right for you. This entire dialogue puts you into a position of being a consultant. This is really why your clients will go back to your realtors and say thank you. This is why your presentation with your realtors is going to come full circle back to them, because when you explain to them that you believe in this silly thing called the triangle of trust, if they referred you a client and that client calls them back and says thank you, you've now done your job and fulfilled your purpose with them. And I promise you, there's not a single client out there that after meeting with each of you wouldn't go back to that person and say thank you. I promise, because each of you guys are really great people. The question becomes is, why are we not getting a consistent 30 to 40% of our active pipeline referring us? How come? It's not because we don't do a great job. It's not because we don't have a great process. It's not because we don't have a great system. It's not because we're not great people. It's because we don't believe that we're entitled to ask for help. We don't believe that we're of value enough to demand it from our clients. And I'm here to tell you that that's a total misnomer. Please, you're shooting yourselves in the foot every time you have a client and you're not setting the stage and asking for business and doing it in this manner. You're not going to ever see the benefit of everything you really do until you realize that what you do is referable. I don't know. That's my 2 cents. What do you guys think?
I like
I
it.
totally like it, yeah.
What do you like about it?
I just like that, like you said, like we just need to, I feel like I'm always like, work smarter, not harder, and this is so much smarter because you've already set that foundation for future referrals, and you're just making it so much easier on yourself with a 15-minute conversation.
And if you have this conversation before you talk about one W-2, one pay stub, one bank statement, you can do this over the phone, you can do this face-to-face. If you're not setting the bar, if you're not setting the stage, it's self-defeating. You wake up every day unemployed. You know, being self-employed is hard enough. The other part of it is realizing that for every 3 clients that you meet and talk to, one of them would have gladly referred you, not 2 of them would have gladly referred you to somebody that they care about. One will do it by accident. The other one will do it because you asked. And at the end of my meetings with my clients, after we've built that bond, because that's really what that opening dialogue is all about, is building that relationship, because there's an understanding of what I need from them and what they need from me. I always ended the conversation. If you guys have been following my posts on the Band of Partners, I always finish my conversations with, "Isn't it nice to know you've got a friend in the business?" I believed that the assumptive close of what I viewed them as is how they were going to view me, and that's just a little tweak of positioning, so that when they were done meeting with me, I wanted them to put a word on how they were feeling, because I truly believe that they were a friend of mine now. Not like I'd go have a beer and sit down and spend time with their family on weekends or anything. I wanted them to to see me as that friend that they could rely on, that they could trust on, because I believed that people want to work with the people that they care about and that they know care about them. And so always, without question, I always ended it, "Thanks for meeting with me. Please don't forget to tell Richard that you were happy with our process." And I'd reach out my hand and go, "Isn't it nice to know now you got a friend in the business?" And that just solidified the entire presentation around what it was that I wanted them leaving thinking about. It insulated me against people shopping me. Not always, but it did a really good job. It provided me a chance not to have to compete on rates and fees. It provided me a really good chance of getting that relationship, in this case of Richard, amplified. I created an advocate. All I needed to do now was just deliver on what I promised, which we always do. And the client left there with a reality of what really this process is about. I stood the best possible chance at that point to deliver a process that was referable, and to have that client gladly and enthusiastically tell somebody in their life about me, which we already said it in the beginning, guys. We all would rather work with a referral than a lead. So to not put this into your business would be a choice, an intentional choice, either A, because you forgot, or B, we were lazy, or C, we're just not confident. And I'm going to tell you all three of those is a complete and total, all three of them are just not acceptable. Each of you want more business. Each of you can get more business. Each of you have the confidence to go out there and get it. This is just a very specific approach on what to say with your clients before you start talking to them about a single mortgage-related document.
Yeah, it's actually mind-blowing because I've been in the business quite a long time, Doug, and I hate that conversation. I just had it yesterday with one of my buyers. They were questioning me on the rate, and they thought I was going to get them a third less on the rate, and how did that happen, and blah, blah, blah. And had I known about this years ago, I would have not ever had that conversation, or the chances are I wouldn't have had it. And it would have, alleviated a lot of grief for me on the other end. But
when our clients, I always believe that in the beginning and in your dialogue, we always should address the rate before our clients. When I'm dealing with a client and it's a pre-approval, I always talk to them about rates up front. This is the range. I always give them a payment range. We think our clients think like we do. Mortgage interest rates that are being marketed to consumers, we all know that they're not accurate. It goes back to the consumer doesn't know what they don't know. It's our job to educate them. And if we fail to educate them, they're going to ultimately call us out on it. The ask of the rate question is a response to our inability to define the reality to them. And if we wait for them to ask it, that diminishes our value infinitely. You know how it feels. It's horrible. But if you had brought it up first and addressed it with them and said, "Listen, you guys literally have a couple different options." And this could be something that I would add into my presentation, especially if I was dealing with an engineer. Engineers were always the ones that I knew I had to have this conversation with because they were more very analytical. I'd always go, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Client, before we agree to move forward, I just want to be clear about something. You literally have about 3 or 4 different options out there to decide where you want to get your loan from. You can go to a bank, you can go to a credit union, you can go to the internet, or you can use somebody like me. I will tell you right now that I am not the cheapest lender out there. There will be banks and institutions out there that will be glad to discount their fees and give you the cheapest rate out there, only to wake up the next day and find a bank out there that'll do it even cheaper. The problem with that is that what you're paying for is somebody that works for a couple $100s on a loan, and they usually have 15 to 20 that they're working on simultaneously in hopes that they close 3 or 4. The problem with that is that you don't really ever get a true consultant. You don't get somebody who understands the process intimately to help navigate or negotiate all these different things that could go wrong. And what you really don't ever get is somebody that cares about your fears and expectations, because they frankly don't care enough about the loan because it's not that big of a deal. They work on volume. So as we go through this process, I want you to be abundantly clear. You will find interest rates out in the market that are going to be cheaper than mine, and I accept that. And if you decide that that's not what you want and you want the cheapest bare bone interest rate out there, then I'm going to tell you right now that this is not a good fit. Remember when we said in the very beginning you give people the permission to reject you? Well, this is where I would give myself the permission to reject them, because I will not accept somebody shopping me against an institution or a process that is far inferior to the way that I handled my clients. I will not ever accept that. And if somebody challenged me on rate, it was because I didn't properly set the bar of expectation up correctly in the first place. And if you don't like it, I'm okay with it. I don't want to be the cheapest lender out there. But you can go find somebody, and if the process goes south and it doesn't work out, I will simply apologize and be glad to take you back, but by then you might have lost your earnest money deposit and some other expenses, and you might be homeless at the time. Is that something that you want to risk over a $25 difference in your payment? And in reality, sometimes what they're quoting you isn't even true. Would you like to continue? Is that different than what you guys say in the beginning of your relationships? I guarantee you it is. We don't talk about that because we're afraid. We don't believe we are consultants. We don't believe that we're the prize because we've never been taught on how to position ourselves to be such. Does anybody think I'm crazy when I say this stuff? I know, no, Lonnie, Lonnie, are you and I the one that's talking? Because I don't really hear anybody else on this. And I'm thinking maybe everybody else thinks I'm nuts.
I'm talking. It's Jamie.
It's Jamie, and I'm here too. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do you guys believe? I mean, does this resonate with you? Does it make sense? I mean, does it make like relationship organic sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, I'm sitting here, and for lack of a better word, I'm like, man, that's ballsy. But I'm like, but it's true. And I'm like, I would never thought to do that, but you're right. I mean, we are worth it, and we deserve it, and you know. But I'm like, dang, that's ballsy.
Well, here's what I'll put it in a different perspective for you. Each of us have significant others, married or not. I know that when I walk into a room and my wife is standing there, and I look at her and go, "Wow, you look great," the impact that statement has is 180 degrees different than if I walk into the room and she goes, "How do I look?" And I go, "Wow, you look great." A solicited request versus an unsolicited request has all the difference in the world, doesn't it? We love it when somebody notices us without having to ask them, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It makes the person that we're talking to feel like we matter. It makes them feel like we care, because it makes them feel like we think like they do and know the questions that they want to ask before we even have a chance. So if we're not addressing those questions before they do, we are simply striking out at a greater opportunity to develop a stronger relationship. It's okay if they say no. It is okay. Because if you tell them that you're going to reject them first, they're more likely not to allow that to happen. And if you broach those conversations before they do, it just amplifies your professionalism and the relationship and your ability to be, quote unquote, the consultant that they're really seeking. Not everybody, but 60 to 80% of your clients want this from you. The other 20% you can look at and go, you know what, Mr. Johnson, as much as I would love to help you, I don't think I'm the right person for the job. I don't believe that I will provide you with the process and the product that you're seeking successfully, and to take you through this process, it just would be counterproductive for me and you. So I'd much rather give you the advice of where else to go to, and I'm not going to hold you to it, but this is what I would advise that you do. I would advise you go out there and start calling all the different banks and credit unions that you can, find the cheapest rate out there possible, and then when you're done, why don't you call me with the good faith estimate or closing cost worksheet that's the lowest possible, and I'll advise you on what is if it makes sense, or just advise you on what I think is going to be your best course of action. Because again, all I care about at this moment is that you go back to Richard and say thank you. It's not ballsy. It's just I know that my clients don't know what they don't know. And I'm not going to let my clients ask me questions that are very surface and think that that's really the root of the question. You guys are better than that. This script, this presentation, if you don't implement it into your business, it's your decision, and you will struggle with every relationship that finds a rate and finds a fee and finds somebody else who tells them they should go talk to somebody else. Because if you're not saying this, you're not standing out. You're no different than the next interest rate. I promise you. And this conversation parlays into what you tell your realtors. How else are you going to get your clients to go back to your realtor and say thank you? How else are you going to get that relationship amplified strong enough to get them to refer you and the agent that you committed to making that happen with? And
Yeah,
all
Doug,
you're doing, yeah.
Sorry, can I tell you something? A couple of you know that I had a social media presentation this week, and it was yesterday, and I had a really good turnout, which there were supposed to be 13 to show up, but 8 showed up, which was, I consider that pretty good. And at the end, you know, I did a call to action, like, you know, I hope you give me a shot at earning your business. And some realtor spoke up and said, and I didn't know her. I knew everyone else in the room. I'd done business with them in some form or fashion before. And she said, well, what are your niche programs? And I'm actually embarrassed to say that I didn't have a good response for it, but you know, I will, with thinking that hindsight is 20/20, back at what I should have said to her. And I said, we really don't have any niche programs. We're in the box, but we will bend over backwards to get a deal closed once we get it in-house. So if anything goes wrong during the process, then we will do everything we can to keep it, you know, to get it closed, basically. But I came kicking myself in the butt, thinking I should have answered her, well, I'm a relationship amplifier, and and then I thought about all the stuff you said on last week's call in our conversation. I was like, why didn't I say all that stuff? And I didn't say it because I'm not rehearsed enough. I'm not used to answering, you know, I'm not used to fielding questions like that in front of a group of people. So.
Right. Yeah, it's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to apply it. You know, there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is the knowing the information. Wisdom is knowing when to apply it. Guys, when I learned, as I've created or crafted this over my career, this was not always the way that I did it. This was not always as fluid and as smooth, if you guys consider it smooth. It was always a work in progress. It was always, I'm going to try something new. It was always something that I put into the mix. You know, it's like a cook. It's like a chef. I mean, you got to try it. You got to figure it out. Sometimes it tastes good. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it flows. Sometimes it doesn't. And you learn a rhythm, and you learn a style, and you learn a way that it works for you. but it starts with being committed and intentional. See, none of the stuff that I work with you guys on is something that you have to do. It's not a checklist. It's not part of the process of getting the loan approved and closed. So it becomes purely voluntary. But if what you hear me say resonates with you and you guys are in the business, I'm telling you, what do you think your audience is going to feel? They're going to be attracted to you at the highest level. And if you believe that your business deserves the reciprocity of getting referrals, then not having this presentation mastered and applied is just your way of saying, I'm lazy. Because you will have conversations about rate again. You will have conversations about niche products again. And when you respond, that's your choice to either be amplified or to be blown out like a candle. And I will tell you that that realtor standing up and asking that question wasn't really about niche products. That question was, why should I use you?
Exactly. And I didn't practice enough beforehand to be able to respond to her because, man, that was a golden opportunity that I missed.
Oh, you get those softball pitches once every now and again. But now, here's the cool part. That's one of those trial by fires that next time you do a presentation, you're going to go, all right, if somebody asks me what my niche programs are, here's what I'm going to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And your response is, you know what, that's a really good question. What I hear you say about my niche products is, what you're really asking me is, why should you use me? And then you go into it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Was this a good call?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Jamie, I think half the battle was at least you left and thought about the call and were like, well, I should have said that. You know, at least it sparked in your mind and you thought about it, but you can tweak it next time. I mean, I think that's half the battle is realizing what you should have said.
Well, and I'm really making this as easy for you guys as I possibly can. The recordings are there if you choose to listen to them. I would love to see you guys. Oh, actually, before I forget, and I know I'm running out of time. Holy cow, it's coming up quickly. Real quick, many of you guys may have gotten the Florida Roundtable invite that we're doing in Tampa. If you haven't, please send me a private email. Brian Heckman, myself, Scott Hudspeth, and Kristen Jameson are hosting a roundtable, and we do this once every probably 4 or 5 months. So we'll do 2 in Florida this year before the National Sales Conference. But it's purely for loan officers only. It's a chance to spend a Thursday night with dinner, and then we spend all day Friday in a room hanging out, just doing loan officer stuff, talking about loan officer duties, and getting to know the people that are all in Florida and in your backyard. I would love it if you guys were able to make it. If you guys can come, if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. It would be great to hang out with you guys and see you guys face to face and spend a full day kind of chit-chatting and learning what Brian Heckman and Kristen Jameson and I and Scotty Hudspeth are doing to help you guys grow your businesses. So if you guys could, if you don't or didn't get an email invite, please reach out to me in an email, and I'll send you one.
Okay, thank you.
I'll send you an email because I didn't get one.
Okay,
I didn't
perfect.
get one either.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for me? It's kind of fun though if you think about it, isn't it? I mean, this stuff makes you kind of excited to talk to people again.
It does. It really sparks that little light inside of me and wants me to go out there and start doing more presentations and talking to more people.
It's because now because you have something of value. Like you have something nobody else has. And it's not anything nobody else doesn't understand. It's just nobody has put it in a way that makes it logical. So I've talked about this from the day one. There's only one thing that makes us different than every other loan officer. What is it?
The words that come out of our mouth.
Thank you, Michael. Bam! That's it. The words that we choose to say is what differentiates us from everybody else. Ask yourself this question. If all of us were competing for the same client, who do you think has the best chance of getting that client? Me or you? We work for the same company. We have the same outcome, but I believe that I have the best chance of earning their business because of the relationship that I can establish with them in 15 minutes. So can you. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy your time with your family and friends. Send me emails if you guys need an invite, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in early March, face-to-face for, yeah, I'd be excited to hang out with you guys.
Thank you, Doug.
All right, guys, have a great weekend. Be good. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.